Hello, everyone. My name is Sally, and today I'm going to be talking about my personal interview for the Disney College program, as well as some tips and tricks that helped me ultimately get accepted this fall 2026. So, today we'll start. I got a new microphone, and I think it's a little jank because if I don't hold it right here at my mouth, it sounds weird. So, we're going to be working with what we got today. So, all of that aside, today I'm going to start by talking about my personal interview and kind of my process and everything I went through. And then we're going to move on into some tips and kind of some advice that I followed that ultimately led to me getting accepted into my first ever program. So let's get into it. I was sent an email, like everyone else's, that basically said that my application was in consideration and I was allowed to set up a phone interview. So I set up a phone interview for a couple days after I received that email. So up until that day, I decided to cram a bunch of knowledge, whether it was from YouTube or the DCP website or people that I know that have either been or knew kind of what Disney was looking for. I took in every single bit of advice that I could get. So I set it for that morning. The reason I set it for that morning was so I didn't have the entire day to stress out about my interview. So I woke up early that morning, did my normal morning routine, and then I got on my interview. Usually they say that your interview can start, I think it's like 30 minutes before your time. And I was sitting there just waiting for my phone to light up with Disney. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and 11:15 rolls along, and I still didn't get a call. And I was like, okay. Eventually, my phone did light up with Disney, and I answered and said, "Hello, this is Sally." I started my interview. We talked through a lot of questions. We started by talking about just Disney World in general. She had asked if I'd been, and I told her that I had, but it had been a minute since I've been there. We started talking about the parks and the things that I love. We talked about my favorite ride, which is the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. And I said I would really love to work there. So then that kind of led into her asking me about, like, what are my top 3 roles? So I told her that my top 3 roles were attractions, character attendant, and photo pass. Dream job, I would love to work at Pirates of the Caribbean. I think that, or like Haunted Mansion, maybe some of the shows. I don't know. I just love it. Mickey Mouse, if you're listening. I started talking about the different roles and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to get out of my program. So then we started leading into some of the keys that Disney prioritizes. And so we started talking about safety. Disney really prioritizes safety. It's something that they have on the forefront of their mind. In every single situation, they prioritize safety. And so she asked me to name a time when in my jobs I've had to prioritize safety. So I talked about an instance with one of my jobs. I actually do character attending. I attend and handle for mascots occasionally. And so I was able to kind of talk about that experience and how I've had to abide by protocol that we have for these mascot costumes. And these mascots, they're really hard to see out of. It's really hot, and just a number of different things to consider when working with them. So I was able to kind of explain that and talk about my experience in that. And then she kind of led into a scenario. So we went back to us talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Now, the Pirates of the Caribbean doesn't have a height limit. But she said, for argument's sake, imagine it does. Imagine a parent and a kid come up to you and they really want to ride, but the poor kid is too short. How would you handle the situation? So I told her that I would recommend some other rides that that the kid could ride and explain how great the ride is and try and talk up the ride just so they're not too upset. And then to be able to communicate with the parent the reason why the kid can't get on, and just really prioritize, again, safety, and that Disney has these protocols for a reason. So to be able to cheer up the kid, but also to give the parents some peace of mind as to we're not trying to be ugly in any kind of way, but rules are rules, and they're placed there for a reason. And then we got done talking about rides, and she started talking about some past work experience that I have. I've worked in food, I've worked in retail, I've worked with in customer service, and just a number of different skills that I've used in previous jobs. And so we talked about cleaning and talked about my comfortability around cleaning products and just cleaning in general. I told her that I'm comfortable and I've used many cleaning products, so it's not something that I am afraid of in any kind of way. And so then we started kind of getting into some more personal questions again. She asked about my favorite park, and I told her, well, of course, I love Magic Kingdom, but I think that each park has something that's wonderful to offer. I think I settled on Epcot because there's just so much in Epcot to enjoy. I think that's what I settled on, but I do love every park. Towards the end of my interview, she said thank you and asked if I had any questions. And of course, I had some questions that I had been thinking on and pondering that I was able to bring to her, and she was able to answer. And then we were able to say our goodbyes, and the interview was over. We hung up, and I was in the waiting process again. Alrighty, so now we're going to get into some tips that I followed that I believe got me accepted into the program. So I just want a quick disclaimer, these tips are not from me. They are from the DCP website, people that I've seen on like YouTube and blogs who have been through the program and who have done this a number of times and who have studied the process, as well as people in my life who have been through the program and who were kind enough to give me wisdom and to give me advice on how they got it and how they enjoyed it. My first tip number 1, is to study. And I know we don't like to study, but this was fun studying for me. It was a lot of YouTube watching, and it was a lot of reading up on Disney World. Walt Disney World, guys. This was easy peasy studying. You just have to do it. So, what I mean by that, knowing the roles of the DCP. And the reason I say this is because to be in the DCP, you're going to be given one of these roles. So you want to know what you're going to be doing. You want to know what these roles have for you. And like I said, in my interview, my recruiter asked me what my top roles were. She wanted to know that I did my research and that I knew what I wanted to do. It's just such a good idea to have an idea of what your program looks like in your head. For me, I really wanted to do attractions, so I paid a lot of attention to people who had done attractions as well as character attending. But I went further than that. I made sure to look into custodial and concierge and just other and quick service and other roles that are a part of the DCP that I hadn't really thought about because I hadn't done the research on them. So I made sure to go to the DCP website. They have a long list of different roles and descriptions for all of them. So I made sure to go through, read all of them, and have a really good understanding of what each role entails. More to studying. Understand Disney's 5 keys. And these are really important to Disney. These are the things that they stand by, that they prioritize, that their entire business and entire look is all about. And they are safety, courtesy, inclusion, show, and efficiency. Having a good understanding of what these 5 words mean and what they mean to Disney, through your interview, they want to know that you have a good understanding of the 5 keys. They don't want to be teaching you things that's already something that's so simple, but so important to them. So know the 5 keys and know what they mean to Disney. Before your interview, make sure to put in the effort. So tip number 2 is be ready. You've done all your studying. Now it's the day of your interview. Your interview they can call you as early as 30 minutes before, and I think 30 minutes after too. Make sure you have a window of time open specifically for your interview. Make sure that, again, you're studied up, you know what you're talking about, you have your answers that you want to be able to say. And make sure in your interview, you're paying attention to what your recruiter's saying. Don't be doing anything else. Give them your undivided attention. You can't be driving. Don't be operating machinery. They will ask in your interview that you're not operating machinery. Make sure that you are paying attention and that you're listening and actively answering. Don't stress. For me, I made sure to set aside time before my interview to have my normal time, to make sure I have my coffee, and just to make myself feel normal. So I had enough time to refresh my brain and get excited, but not too much time to get nervous. So then I had my interview. In your interview, tip number 3 is to smile. And this sounds so simple. Think about it. When you're concentrating really, really hard, do you ever make that face where you're not smiling? Because I do. So, my advice is to just have a good time. You're talking to somebody who literally works for Disney for a living, who gets to talk to people every day who love Disney. Like I'm not a Disney recruiter, but I can't imagine that job is sad. So they want to talk to happy people, and Disney's just a happy company. They want to make sure they're hiring people who can smile, because there is a difference in your voice. You can really tell. You can really tell, especially over the phone, because they can't see you. They don't see your face. So they're only going off of the inflection of your voice. So tip number 4 is be truthful. And like I said, for the last one, this sounds like such a simple thing. But on top of knowing what you're talking about, smiling, and just showing up on time, you need to be able to actually mean what you say. People know when people lie. A lot of times we think that we're so good at it, and we're just not. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm talking about myself. Maybe all of y'all are really good liars. But I am an awful liar. And so for me, I had to make sure that I was being very forthcoming with the positions that I didn't want to do, the positions that I really did want to do. All right, so my camera cut out on me, but we're going to roll with it. Okay. Tip number 5. Have questions for your recruiter. There's a couple reasons why you want to do this. And that is because, first, for your own benefit. If you have questions and you need the answers for them and you can't find the answers, your recruiter knows the answer, or at least is going to do their best to answer your question. I asked about cross-training. I was able to get a little bit of information about this online, but I wanted to be sure. So I asked her, hey, depending on what role you get put in, is there a possibility to get cross-trained in another role? I asked about, I will not be enrolled in college during my program. So I asked, how would my experience be different to those who are? And so those were just my questions. They were personal to me. You're free to use them, or definitely come up with your own. Genuinely ask. Really get to know those questions. So for your own benefit, but also your recruiter wants to know that you care and that you are putting in that effort. It actually looks really good on you if you have questions. You don't want to just be given the floor to talk and then not take it. In this moment, you are promoting yourself. You're hyping yourself up in front of your recruiter. So take this time and really sell yourself. Alrighty, that is all that I have for you today. That was my 5 tips to acing your DCP interview, given to me by not me. So take it with what you will, take it with a grain of salt, take it with whatever you want. This was just my experience and what worked for me. What worked for me might not work for you. And so that's it. I wish you luck on your interview if your interview is coming up. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful and encouraging to you in some kind of way. If you've gotten this far, leave a comment that says like DCP 2026. It's been a little fun. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all stay safe out there. Goodbye.